This is our first episode, yay!
Oh,
Yeah, I have nothing special to do at the beginning because, if anyone wants to make an intro or something, we're open to suggestions. Or if someone wants to make something, feel free to do so because I'm not creative enough right now, apparently.
I'm not creative enough, period.
So, I don't know, I just couldn't think of anything special to do, but oh no, should we talk about how we got our name first?
I think so because it's
Because
actually pretty
that's a
funny.
pretty awesome story, I must say. Oh my God. What was it? Like cognitive dissonance, I think is what it was.
Um, it started off as intellectual dissonance because when you were on Punch last night, we got onto a discussion by a particular individual, and we just found it funny. And obviously, dissonance means disharmonious
Yeah.
or something along those lines. And obviously, the intellectual was it was basically just kind of like tongue in cheek, like pun kind of thing. And we didn't really like the name too much. And you put it into
Google. Yeah,
the
I
Google
just
search
searched
engine.
Google, yeah. To see what it actually was and what it meant. And like the definition pretty much like you know what, I could read it now
Yeah,
just to
because it's kind of complicated, but it makes a lot of sense, especially for what we were going for.
Oh yeah, it is cognitive dissonance.
Yeah, that's right.
And it says here's the definition. It says cognitive dissonance is a psychological phenomenon which refers to the discomfort felt at a discrepancy between what you already know or believe and new information or interpretation. It therefore occurs when there is a need to accommodate new ideas, and it may be necessary for it to develop so that we become open to them. Uh, Makes the generation of appropriate dissonance into a major feature of tutorial and other teaching. He shows how to drive this kind of intellectual wedge between learners' current beliefs and reality. And that basically like fit what we were reading in the discussion thread at the time. It was basically that.
Yeah, it was people putting forth their own opinions and then changing their own opinion to fit what they wanted to like make themselves sound smarter, despite the fact they were constantly changing what they meant and contradicting themselves constantly.
Yeah, and it goes on to say, it says, beyond this benign, if uncomfortable aspect, however, dissonance can go over the top, leading to two interesting side effects for learning. One, if someone is called upon to learn something which contradicts what they already think they know, particularly if they are committed to that prior knowledge, they are likely to resist the new learning. Even Carl Rogers recognized this. Accommodation is more difficult than assimilation, in Piaget's terms. And the second one is, and counterintuitively perhaps, if learning something has been difficult, uncomfortable, or even humiliating enough, people are less likely to concede that the content of what has been learned is useless, pointless, or valueless. To do so would be to admit that one has been had or conned.
Which is the main point because no one does that. There was that example in there as well of a cult similar to shit. What were they called? The people who drank the Kool-Aid to get behind Halley's Comet, the like promised land that was there. I can't remember what they were called, but it was something
Yeah,
similar
yeah, I know what you're
where
talking
they
about.
thought that the world was going to end via a flood, and they sold all their possessions and basically went wholeheartedly to the cause. And when it obviously didn't happen, they figured, well, it must not have happened because of our extraordinary faith in what we believe was going to happen. And they refused to believe that they were wrong. They just
Yeah,
basically twisted reality to fit their needs.
yeah. So anyway, I assume you get the basic idea of what that means. And so we were like during this time we were trying to come up with a screen name because we came up with this idea. We're like, okay, we want something obviously pony related. So Andrew typed into like the thesaurus basically looking for synonyms for dissonance, and Discord was one of them, and that fit perfectly because Discord is a character in MLP, of course, and it's also perfect for this kind of thing too because it's a Chan, and you know what happens on Chans, and
People are
like,
assholes.
and Discord is the like ultimate troll, so
So just so many things came together.
we're just like, that's perfect, we're using it, and naturally cognitive discourse or Discord was taken already, so I had to put X's at the beginning and end.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, but anyway, I guess we could get to the discussion. So you just want to like alternate reading posts or whatever. Like I'll read his
Oh,
post and his corrections of his post,
yeah, we can
and
do
then we
that.
can just alternate.
Or we could read the opening one and then we can just look at talk about that while looking for
Yeah.
other posts
Okay.
that just
Yeah.
seem funny or interesting.
Yeah. And just so you all know, like, yeah, this is the screen. This is the thread we're looking at, and Andrew can see it as well. So.
Hmm.
Okay, so I'll start. This is a small rant on equality by cynical. I'm sorry, I can't say it with a straight face. Is that okay?
Because basically, cynical Chris, who I hope does see this at some point, but kind of don't. He was basically like he was the motivation for all of this. Because
Ironically enough, because he did have a previous post that we looked at yesterday, and people are just like, okay, this guy is just ridiculous. Because which is, I can't even explain it.
it was he made a very good point in his I think it was his opening as
Yeah.
well, and he was basically asking for help on something, and people were making good points. He made a good point,
Hmm.
but then he just kind of snowballed and just everything fell apart for him, and he turned out to be a lot more cynical than even his name suggests.
Yeah, because like someone even posted in a response to him, they're like, "Wow, you really live up to your name, you know?" Because he's just being a cynic, basically, and just it's kind of one of those things where like he wants to always be right, but is like at the same time open to, you know, different ideas.
But the ideas that he gets don't fit to what he wants, so he immediately rejects them. And
Yeah,
he wants a perfect answer, which obviously doesn't exist. So he's just stuck in a loop, and he just drags people into it with him.
yeah, and from what I heard, he's been banned multiple times. So apparently, it's a weekly thing that he gets banned. So
I also want to point out we're not strictly picking on him. It's
no,
just
we're
that's
not.
he just happens to be the person that we were focused on.
Yeah, and before we move on, it's like this is all just for fun and just bringing a discussion out and bringing points and stuff. I mean, it's not to like bag on anybody
Exactly.
or any idea for that matter. It's just to make an open discussion. That's plain and simple.
It's a forum.
Yeah, so you should know how discussion threads go. So let's start this off. A small rant on equality by Cynical Chris. Um, it's one of those bullshit statements, mostly prevalent in Western culture because of the Christian influences, but the stupid idea exists elsewhere as well. All women and men are created equal and should be treated equal. First of all, they are not. Some people are less intelligent, less healthy, less physically strong, less attractive, less imaginative, less extroverted. This is reality. So the statement starts off with denying reality. Never a good sign. What about the second part? That one's right, you may think. To make things perfectly clear, I'm for equal rights and equal opportunities. Everyone should have the chance to prosper. The only reason I can study biology and have enough money despite to survive d- money despite to survive despite being born in a poor, borderline outcasted family is because society gave me that chance and I'm grateful. But there are people who deliberately choose not to, and you know what? It's an insult to every single solitary, productive, altruistic, intelligent person to say they are equal. It's an insult to any person who did try his best, whether he failed or not as well. You pretty much spit on everything they accomplished, will accomplish, and have done, or will do for others by saying everyone is equal. That drug dealer who hits his girlfriend and steals money from his parents, equal. That drunk, paranoid bum under the bridge, you ain't better than him. Who do you think you are with your respectable contributions to humanity, asshole? I'm sick of that shit. It's not true, and that's and that's a good thing. People should have the chance to be better, and they deserve to be treated proportionally to how well they treat others. Opinions should have different values as well. That's right. Your opinion may be worth less or more than someone else's on a specific subject matter, and again, yes, that's a fucking good thing. Think about it. An expert in genealogy with a minor in psychology who focused on pregnancy and female reproduction organs is given the exact same amount of power in a referendum about abortion than a redneck whose only sources of knowledge are conservative fundamentalists fabricating lies on television while wallowing in their own pitiful ignorance. Both opinions on the subject matter are treated of equal worth. That's what we call justice. That's fair. End quote. I'm just going to say that just so you know when I'm actually talking or reading.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Uh, we,
He definitely makes some good points, though. I will give him that, as for sure.
yeah, like before we started this, when I was just going over it, I agreed with his last point of many comedians that I listen to say it as well of why do we allow like people in Congress and whatnot to decide what a woman can and cannot do with their body. You shouldn't make it legal so that people freak out. You shouldn't make it illegal. It shouldn't be a law, period. It should be up to the discretion of the individual, in my opinion. Because you shouldn't tell people what to do with their body. You don't do it regardless, unless obviously it's something illegal like heroin or whatnot. And if it causes, well, fuck, now I'm going to sound like a dick. Because I was going to say if it causes harm to the individual, and obviously someone's going to say, well, it causes harm to the fetus, you're killing it. It does that not count as a person? That's a completely different thing. We're talking about equality.
Yeah,
And
it's yeah.
it is true, like, not everyone really is equal, but you still have rights. You should still treat them just like you would treat anybody
It's
else.
yeah, it's the whole concept of like the human rights. It's like you're a human being, so everyone deserves to have at least these rights. But I mean, obviously there are like positions in society where someone would be better suited for said like occupation, for example, due to like, intelligence or whatever, like he was saying before. But so in that aspect, we're kind of not equal. I mean, we all have like the same like ability, like the same opportunities as everyone else, but like not everyone can really pursue them at this like as like another person could or something.
Hmm. I'm gonna read Charity Cheers posts. They say, I'm just gonna paraphrase
Yeah.
really, that they like the discussion because they were having one similar with a friend of theirs, where you can actually be too good for a certain job or waste a skill by not aspiring to a higher one, which is the bullshit thing that people give to you when they don't want to hire you for something, basically. And
Yeah,
they
I see
say,
that.
with regards to equality, each human deserves equal rights, but not necessarily equal respect. For example, respect is given, not earned.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was trying to
Or
say.
no, I read that wrong. Respect is not
Given
given,
but
but
earned.
earned.
Yeah.
He worded that kind of
Yeah, it's
weirdly.
kind of weird.
And he says it's not really some kind of secret monk advice. If someone does their best to research abortion or explain with some good support why they feel the way they do, then that person has earned the right to be listened to. However, it is the idea that it's being judged, not the person. And respect for the person need only dwindle if they do not present their opinions humbly. Humility is a
It's very,
very,
very
very
important.
important thing.
Yeah. I think there are a lot of factors that go into this discussion and a lot of examples to be explored. I look forward to where this is going. I like where this thread is going.
Oh God.
And then, like, she goes on, well, he, she,
Mhm.
is like, notably as a religious person, no, I'm not a Christian. I feel like people use those as freaking synonyms these days in the West. I feel that while we are all equal before God, we will be judged by Him for our deeds, and that is absolutely no one else's job but His to do so. So yeah, like religion is kind of not something that I think is fair to bring up in a discussion like this.
No, people bring religion into discussions to basically to boost their status in the conversation, it seems,
Yeah, pretty much.
or as a kind of trump card, like I don't know, like church leaders believe this, so clearly it must be right, or something like that.
Yeah.
Whereas, for example, religion doesn't dictate law, and you can't do whatever you want because of religion. It was at one point everybody knows like the stereotype of Mormons can marry however many people they want, which actually isn't true. It was put forth that they could do this, and then the government actually went to them and they said, you can have your own religion, however, you cannot have your own laws. Monogamy, or not monogamy, polygamy is illegal, and we're not going to allow you to do it, which is why Mormons nowadays, they cannot marry more than one person.
Mhm.
So you can bring religion into it if you want, but it really doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of difference.
Yeah. And I mean that's also like it's kind of ironic though because you talk about equal rights and everything and in my opinion it's like I believe that religion falls into that because I mean you have the right to believe what you want. So I don't know. It just seems it's that's a really tough like topic of equality because it's basically like from what standpoint exactly are we talking about equality? Is it like equality as a human, equality as like a nation, or because there's like so many different standpoints you can have.
Yeah, Charity Cheer also says this later on. You have a point, but we keep using the word worth without saying what it means. Does it mean their contributions to society, to science? Is it something to do with the human spirit? A person with severe mental disability may make a large contribution to medicine or psychology or be the best friend someone ever had. Your worth can be measured in many different ways, or I guess, end quote, your worth can be measured in many different ways. It's really up to you how you decide what someone is worth.
Yeah, and I'm gonna read something by Scootaloo, also Princess Celestia, apparently. I find that awesome. But basically, I like it when people do this in the thread because then they can, instead of just making one long post, they kind of put like what they're responding to because he like requotes from the original post. So on the line of all women and men are created equal and should be treated equal, Scootaloo says, but that statement is the basis for equal rights and treatments of people, which you said are support. And then he quotes, first of all, they are not. Some people are less intelligent, less healthy, less physically strong, less attractive, blah, blah, blah. We read that earlier. And Scootaloo responded to that by saying, here's the thing that bugs me, and it's bugged me for years whenever people discuss equality. The claim that people deny that psychological, physical, or biological differences exist between people. My question is, who denies that? People like to make broad generalizations about people denying that trivially obvious truth, but I've never seen a single person actually deny it. I've seen people say, yes, those differences exist, but I don't care. I'm still going to treat everyone the same anyway. But I've never seen a person to actually deny them, with the possible exception of a few dead philosophers. If you know of anyone who actually does deny, note deny, not accept, and then dismiss as irrelevant to their ethos, then please refer them to me. End quote. I don't know really how to respond to that.
Yeah, I don't know. We've actually had I've had a run-in with this once before of at my work, we allowed free admission to people in wheelchairs for a while at our specific location. And we actually got, or we didn't get it, but an angry letter was sent out to our corporate office of a gentleman who said that he thought that people in wheelchairs should not allowed to be or should not allowed to be should not allowed to go in for free, and that where does it stop? What gives them the right? Does that mean that we should also allow the deaf, dumb, blind, and mentally retarded people to go in free as well? Which of course pissed off everybody.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a thing of like, well, you he has some point. He didn't go about it well. But I mean, it's you can't group together every single person because everybody is different, obviously. And the whole equality thing is, again, you should treat people the same. I
Hmm.
mean, doesn't this go back to the whole like
Discrimination, everything.
discrimination and slavery thing? I mean, it's still going on now with gays and whatnot, and
Hmm.
women. And actually, there was an interesting study. I don't remember where this was, but there was a company that did uh, a survey of Fortune 500 companies, and the top 10% of all of the people in each company were above average height. They were like 6 foot something, like most of them. And the point of it was that heightism actually occurs, that people that are under the average height are actually paid less and do not have as good status as most people that are above average height. So you're going to have inequality everywhere. There's not a whole hell of a lot you can do about it, honestly, which is the unfortunate thing.
Actually, one thing I noticed in this thread, it did actually take a while for Cynical Chris to actually respond, but he is like addressing some other things here. I haven't really read it yet, so I'm just kind of looking through it at the moment. But let's see.
I like this. This is by Anonymous. It's just a short. He's got a massive post, but I'm not going to read the whole thing. But the main thing that he says is the point isn't that everyone contributes equally. It's that everyone deserves certain rights regardless of their abilities. A person with Down syndrome has the same wants as anyone else. The point isn't that he'll contribute the same amount. It's that everyone deserves equal happiness and everyone's happiness is equally worthy of protection.
Yeah, I see that post now. And it's like, wow, must you make everything a bullshit religious point?
Yeah, after the whole,
The whole, yeah,
yeah.
about religion. He's like, and then he goes and lists off all of them, and he's like, they're not equal to not equal, not equal. That all religions are not equal to each other. And
Hmm.
he's like, Christianity isn't one religion; it's an umbrella term for thousands of independent religions that really shouldn't get along very well. Most Christian groups were historically at each other's throats. There's no one Christian religion, blah blah blah. We don't care. I read that in a book that I believed is called The History of Free Thought. That's not an original idea. So we have these diverse sects. These diverse sects fuck up the world in unique ways. Catholicism screws up the world in one way, and Anglicanism in another way, and etc. Christianity isn't really a group. They aren't like-minded. They are, however, allies. I don't really agree with that.
Uh, yeah, because I agree there are many like-minded, or there are many different sects of Christianity and different uh, I guess sub religions, and they're not always allies. 'Cause obviously, they separate based off of their ideas, ideals, and beliefs. That's not gonna still bring them together.
Yeah, I just don't really like the term like ally used in that context because like I don't know, to me like an ally is basically like a partner like against a common enemy or something like that
Hmm.
or just like figuratively speaking. But yeah, he just goes on and talks about pretty much religion, so we all know how that goes. Like there is no one answer when it comes to that kind of thing. It's always like, oh, well, this, and then, oh, well, the contradiction. I keep forgetting to say end quote when I'm reading, but I don't care.
Yeah, I'm sure people are gonna
Yeah, they'll
understand
yeah.
it.
Let's see.
Um,
I want to see what
I don't
time
know.
we're up to. 25 minutes.
I was gonna say I figured this was gonna go on for a while.
No, yeah, like we're not going to have any specific like time limit that these end, and you can watch as long as you want. But I mean, I think we definitely learned some interesting things in this
Mhm.
thread. Like I I don't know, like it just kind of confuses me really. I can't really have one like real opinion on equality. Like I don't know. Cuz there's just so many like sub problems, I guess you could say, with it. There's so,
Yeah,
so many like uh, it's like if you were to write a paper on this, you could write like a 30-page paper because there's so many like subcategories of it. It's like, okay, well, like for this group of people, this is equality to them, and like in religion, like I see why people bring up religion a lot though in terms of equality because it's kind of, I mean, I don't know, it's grouping things together just makes things easier to understand. That's just how your brain works. So I don't know. I know I'm not really making a solid like point there, but
yeah, but this isn't really made to make
yeah,
points. It's
it's
made to get a discussion going,
yeah,
which I actually do want to say this now because obviously it is a discussion. We want people talking in the
yeah.
comments.
I was just about to get to that.
Please, for the love of God or whoever, please don't be exactly like these people and just run off and insult each other. Like, make good points and have a proper discussion, not just yell at each other and argue.
Yeah, because we'll just we'll monitor the comments, and if something gets out of hand, we can just take care of that. So yeah, we want to be kind of more productive here, not just like arguing like, oh, I'm right, no, I'm right, because that's what happens in these threads, and it's already kind of happened. Um, like as I was scrolling through it,
Hmm.
it's just like, oh no, that's bullshit. No, you can't bring this up. It's like, but I mean,
Yeah, it's
feel
like,
free to like comment like what you're feeling. Just it would be um, nice to just not have I don't know how to say it flaming I guess.
yeah. Tr- you know what? Perfect that this is our first one. Treat each other equally.
Yeah, there you go. We're all humans, so we deserve
We've come full
equal
circle.
rights. Because yeah, like in conclusion, in my opinion, yes, I believe every person, nationality, mental state, whatever they do, whoever they are, deserve the same opportunities that everyone else around them has. That's my opinion.
Agreed.
They have the rights that everyone, yes, everyone should have that. And it's like, of course, you can go into depth like this thread did. So if you'd like to see the thread, I will post it in the description. I'll link to it just so you can like read over and get your own ideas from it. And because obviously we can't read every post because that would take forever.
And no one would
And
watch a 20
yeah,
hour
just
video.
us reading where you can like see it too. So if you want, you can even like have this open as you're like listening to the video because I mean there's not really much to see except the post. So
Yeah.
where we're just going to be looking at the thread. So we're still kind of working out the kinks of how this is going to work. We don't really have any guideline really on like how things are supposed to go, but it'll get more uniform as we do it more. This is kind of just a trial period. We're just seeing how it goes
Hmm.
and see what we can do to improve it and etc. And we will probably have more people speaking in these because I've had some people that have wanted to, and I think they would be good candidates for this sort of thing.
And obviously, because it is discussion, we want people to like interact with us, not just with each other. Like, it'd
Yeah,
be nice to have people's opinions that they have and their observations like firsthand that you can then go off of instead of us saying everything that we have, and then having like having to go through the comments and talk then, because that's just, I don't know,
Yeah, and
it'll
there's
take a while.
yeah, and there's a character limit on comments. So it's like if there's anything that you just want to talk to us directly, you can feel free to just private message us on YouTube or whatever, or just and also in the comments if you have any questions or suggestions of any kind, we're open to all of it and just whatever, because we're kind of just doing this on the fly. So yeah, I don't know how to really end this.
um, uh, and
I just oh no, there was something I wanted to say, but I like forgot what it was. I had a long day at work. I'm sorry. Like that's why I couldn't like fully focus on one thing at a time.
yeah,
I'm just so scatterbrained right now, but it's cool. But yeah, I guess just anything you want to say, just feel free to say it. We won't be like really sticklers about it until it's just like flat out like
no,
comment war.
yeah.
So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this interesting discussion, and we will have many more in the future.
See you guys later.
Yep.